All right, so in this video, we're going to be looking at graphing in standard form. I'm going to do 14 for you. That way you can practice on 15 and practice the other homework assignments that I gave you before all this happened. So what you want to do is always label what's your A value, what's your B value, and what's your C value. Okay, so our A value is -1, our B value is 10, and our C value is -24. Okay, so the axis of symmetry, if it's in standard form, is x equals -b over 2a. So let's solve this. We get x equals negative, our b value is 10 over 2 times a value -1. Okay, so if I simplify this, I'm going to get x equals -10 over -2. So x is equal to 5. So to find the vertex, I know the x coordinate is going to be 5 because that's the axis of symmetry. To figure out the y coordinate, I'm going to plug in that 5 every time. Every time I see an x. So we got negative, then I plug in 5, plus 10, I plug in 5, minus 24. Okay, so if I solve this then, 5 squared is 25 times a negative, so that's going to be -25, plus 50 minus 24. So y equals 25 minus 24, y is going to equal 1. So that is my vertex, 5, 1. And this is a maximum because the a value is negative. So the maximum value is going to be the y coordinate of the vertex. Okay? So now to circle all the transformations that occurred here. What we're going to do is we look at the a value. The a value is negative. So because it's negative, I know it's a reflection. Okay? Is the a value bigger than the absolute value of 1? Okay, notice how the absolute value of a, which just means the positive version of it, is 1. That doesn't mean that we're stretching it or compressing it at all. So these are out. Excuse me. Okay? So the a value tells me whether it's a reflection, whether it's a vertical stretch, a vertical compression, or none of the above. Okay? So because the a value is negative, that's a reflection. Next, we look at the vertex to determine whether or not it's a vertical shift or a horizontal shift. The vertex is normally 0, 0 in a quadratic function, and this one changed to become 5, 1. All right, so that means it had a vertical shift because it went up 1. It had a horizontal shift because it went to the right 5. Okay, so that's how you do transformations. Now, we want to graph this. We want to graph this function. So where we should start is our vertex. Our vertex is 5, 1. So I'm going to graph 5, 1. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is just that vertical line that goes through the vertex, cutting the parabola in half. Oops. There we go. Okay. Now we need to get other points to plot on this. So I'm just going to pick points that lie around my vertex. Okay. So I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to plug it into my calculator. I'm going to plug in 6 every time I see an x, and I'm going to put it right into my calculator. So I see negative, and then I put parentheses 6 squared, so I'll put this off to the side. So y equals negative, and then parentheses 6 squared. Scroll up 1 second. Plus 10, and then I put the 6 again, minus 24. That's what we're dealing with, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in exactly as I see it into my calculator. And you'll see that I get out 0. Okay? Because that point is 1 unit to the right of the axis of symmetry, because it's symmetrical, I know 1 unit to the left is going to be another point. So 4, 0, I know that's going to be there too. Okay? Now we got to get, let's see, I'll get a new color for us. Now we got to plug in 7. So y equals negative parentheses 7 squared plus 10 times 7 minus 24. Okay, so when I do this, I'll just plug that straight into my calculator. I'm going to get out negative 3. And because that's 2 units to the right, I know 2 units to the left. Or when I plug in 3, I'm going to get out negative 3 as well. Then all I have to do is connect the dots in a nice smooth curve. And that is the graph of my quadratic. Okay? X-intercepts. Well, this is pretty easy because remember the x-intercepts have an x-coordinate and then their y-coordinate is 0. We found those nicely using just plugging in numbers. So we can find that that's 4, 0, and 6, 0. Okay? But remember, we probably, most of the time, are going to have to use our graphing calculators to find our x-intercepts. Okay? So, you saw that I posted in Schoology today. This is an app. This is a free app if you don't have a graphing calculator. It doesn't work 100% of the same way, but similarly enough that if you don't have a graphing calculator, this is going to help you. So, remember, hit y equals. I'm going to clear that out. That was just a function I was playing around with earlier. I'm going to type in the function that we're dealing with right now, which is negative x squared. Let's see, plus 10x minus 24. After I plug that in, I'm just going to hit graph. Okay? So you'll see this, and this does look a little bit different than the graphic calculator I was using in class, just because it's just a different app. So we want to find the x-intercepts. So I hit second trace to go to calc. Remember, x-intercepts are called zeros as well. So I'm going to go down and hit 0, hit enter on that. Left bound. So I'm going to move, I'm going to click, move that spider to the left of the x-intercept, and I hit enter. See that line forms. Right bound, I'm going to go to the right of that x-intercept. And on this app, I don't have to guess, okay? But you'll see that the 0, and it's right, I don't know if you can tell, it's that x1. It says 4.000037. That's going to be close enough to 4, which is what we got right there for our x-intercept. Okay? Now let's verify that the other one's 6, just using this new tool. So second trace, 2 to go to 0. Now I'm looking at the next one. So the left bound, where it put that spider indicator is to the left of that. So I'm just going to hit enter on that. Now I'm going to go to the right of it. And then it figures it out that the x-coordinate is 6.000000. That's the 0 that I was looking for. If you remember, that's the one that we got just by plugging it in. Okay? So that's an app. It's called, let me remember really quick. I forgot. Calculator 84, I believe. Calculate 84, right there. Okay? So, y-intercept. Let's finish up this problem. Let's finish up this video. So a y-intercept, if you'll remember, has an x-coordinate of 0 and a y-coordinate of a number. And it always turns out that in standard form, our y-intercept is the c value. So the c value was negative 24. So those are the coordinates of the y-intercept. Okay? So that is going to wrap up this problem working through on standard form. Okay, if you have any questions on that, try out number 15, which is another standard form problem. And then the next video, I will go over graphing in vertex form. Okay. Okay, so that's going to wrap up this video. Tune into the next one.